Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here and stopping by. It's much appreciated. Trigger warning throughout this entire video. I'm going to be talking about a couple of cases that are just kind of bothering me. I wouldn't say it's any new information on the cases. It's just stuff that's kind of irritating me about them that I just kind of want to get off my chest. And these are my thoughts, views, opinions, and feelings all alone. So please, do your due diligence and look into these cases if you don't know about them, and look at the videos and the articles so you can come to your own conclusions. But again, this is just how I feel. Massive trigger warning throughout the whole video. And I will be putting in links to other channels who have covered some of these cases, because they do go into like really great detail and go in depth in these cases. So then that way, if you have any questions or you just kind of want to learn more about the cases, those will be the places to go to find the answers you need. Please like and subscribe, because these ladies are really good at what they do, and they really do care, and they go hard. Okay, these cases are somewhat new to me. Well, this first case is, at least. The first case I want to talk about is Sean Daughtry. He's a 12-year-old boy who unfortunately was found by his older sister hanging in the backyard of their place, and he unalived himself, allegedly. So the reason his case bothers me so much is because, in my opinion, I think it was foul play. I think that law enforcement truly dropped the ball multiple times and were incredibly insensitive and absolutely freaking rude. And I do not agree with how they handled things at all. And I know I'm not anybody important to say what's the right way to handle it, but just as a mother, I would be absolutely devastated if I was in the same position, and it really angers me. I'm angry for Sean, I'm angry for his loved ones, and I'm angry for any other family that has had to go through this, because I'm sure this hasn't been the first time this has happened. Well, anyways, so 12-year-old Sean was found. They determined, like law enforcement, and the medical examiner determined that he unalived himself. And yes, I know there are cases where loved ones get blindsided and they don't realize that their loved one was struggling through things, and there were signs that were not noticed, and they're completely blindsided and have a hard time accepting the outcome of what has happened. However, in this case, it's not the same. In this case, there is no history that I'm aware of him ever attempting to unalive himself, ever speaking of it, having any kind of mental health issues that weren't, were there. By all accounts, the way everybody speaks of him, he was really just this happy-go-lucky kid. He was all about family. He loved his little brother. He loved his family. So the circumstances of the whole day just don't add up as far as him doing this to himself. And then the manner in which he was found is the biggest red flag for me, okay? Because like I said, I can't wrap my head around a 12-year-old being able to accomplish something like that. Honestly, a grown-ass dude, I couldn't imagine being able to pull it off. Granted, I guess the likelihood would be that they possibly could, but to me, I just feel like the detail that was around this, it wasn't just a simple hanging. There was a whole bunch of other stuff going on, okay? It was quite loud. And I don't understand how it got pulled off, and that's why it's a big red flag for me. So there's a lot of concerns about this. Not only is there a family and loved ones who are being forced to, or basically told to accept that this is what happened, and they're being denied being listened to. Law enforcement isn't hearing what they have to say. They've already had their minds made up, and that's that. Then there's this tit for tat thing that law enforcement did when they got on and, called out the family basically about what they said. And the dude was really freaking rude. Like, ugh. Truly pissed me off. Like, wow. The amount of insensitivity there was just horrible. Horrible. And I'm sorry, it's so unprofessional and just not okay by any means. This is a 12-year-old we're talking about, okay? And even if it was an adult, there's still a way you handle things, and this definitely was not the right way to handle them. You know what I mean? Like, speaking about the family the way they did, it just was not okay. Anyways, so obviously the main issue would be that they rolled him as an unaliving, and there's definitely belief that there is foul play. He had come home from school and unexpectedly was asked to watch his little brother, which he was happy to do so. He spoke to his mom a couple of times. He took out his snack. He was going to do his chore and then get on his video gaming system. And his little brother was going to use the tablet or whatever iPad, and so everything seemed like it was going to be okay until the sister came home. Sister come home, and she unfortunately was the one to find him in the backyard. And obviously paramedics were not able to save him. The sister said she had locked eyes with the landscaper in one of the yards. That to me is key. I am not accusing anybody. I am just saying that's key. It makes my spidey senses go off and say, something ain't right there. There were more than one person that were out in the yards at this time, working on their yards or whatever, and the fence that's around the property is really small. Like, I think it's like 3 feet. So I am baffled as to how nobody saw anything, because I feel like you would notice that. I'm just saying. I don't understand. Even if you didn't see it happen, you would still notice him there. Like, it's not like they have this big security fence there that you can't see over. This is like a 3-footer fence that just makes absolutely no damn sense. Okay, anyway, so come to find out that, there was a large handprint that was inside the house that and I still don't know the truth, because I feel like, unfortunately, there's a lot of people trying to cover their own butts in this case when it comes to how this case was handled. So there was a handprint. Supposedly it was taken, they did whatever they needed to do to take it as evidence and get it tested and whatnot, but that's not what happened. I don't even know what happened. We don't know the truth about that, but it definitely did not get tested. So they actually had to call law enforcement back in order to come do that, which is another thing that's just absolutely amazing to me. They found him in his stepfather's clothing, and they found his underwear in their bedroom. Again, makes no sense, okay? He had his little brother there that he was watching, who he adored, and by the way, everybody speaks about his relationship with his family. I don't see him doing something like that, knowing that there was a possibility that his little brother would see that. I don't get that feeling, I don't see him doing that. I don't see him unaliving himself either. I think there was more than one person involved. And I know a lot of people don't want to take what the little brother said as is to put too much weight into it, but I think it makes sense in a way. He said that Sean's friend was running around punching him and that the man touched his arm. So that's why I feel like, could it be one person? Sure. Could it be 2 people? Sure. As much as it sounds like it was just this like opportunity, and it was opportunistic, I do believe that, but it just, all the cosmos had to be aligned for this to play out the way it did, and nobody to see or hear a damn thing. And it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. So there is a lot of miscarriage of justice, if you want to use that word, because not only do we have a family that's being forced to deal with this situation of him unaliving himself, even though they know he didn't. They are not being listened to by law enforcement. They're not being heard. You know what I mean? They in law enforcement's eyes, this is what it is, and it's time to move on, kind of deal. Even if there was a history of mental illness or something going on, the manner in which he was found, again, like I said, I don't think he could physically do to himself. There was just too much going on there. Now, this right here in itself is a huge issue. But then there's another issue that goes along with this. If indeed he was unalived by somebody, that person is out and about, or persons are out and about, going about their everyday life, doing what they do because they know they got away with it. They know they're in the clear. And what that means is, not only are they out and about getting away with it, they are out there and have the capability to do this again, whether it's to a child or somebody else. as of right now, have not been looked into, except for the fact that a lot of people have this feeling that Sean didn't do this to himself. That's really the only thing. The fact that there's people out there and didn't see anything is absolutely mind-blowing to me, but whatever. I think there's a good reason to call bullshit there. Well, anyways, so whoever did this, whether it was one person or more than one person, multiple people, they are out there now. They are out there, and I can guarantee you that they are only going to do it again. Monsters like this don't change, okay? They just don't just decide to do it one day and be like, okay, let's go about our lives like it's no big deal. You know what I mean? Unless they get caught. These type of people are like extremely sick in the head. And the length that they went through to try and pull this off, I mean, there's so much detail in such a short amount of time, which is why it's like, yes, it's opportunistic. I get that. But like, again, everything had to align right. The kids had to be home by themselves. How would they have known? Did they catch him when he was going outside to take the trash out or about to take the trash out? I mean, something isn't right. And no matter how it came about, these people or person is out there now and now preying on other people. Nobody knows who they are, where they're at. And the scary thing is that, they have this sense of being untouchable, I guess, in a way, because they got away with it. All because law enforcement had their heads up their asses. Couldn't see it for what it was, but whatever. Anyway, so this case is just extremely bothersome, and it does need attention brought to it because there's something really wrong here, and it's not fair to the family, but mostly it is not fair to Sean. He is the victim. He deserves his story told. He deserves the right story told about what happened, and he needs to be given that. He needs the truth to be out there. He deserves his truth to be out there. And these people that did this, or this person that did this, needs to be found before it happens again. And I guarantee you it'll happen again. For all we know, this could have been part of a spree kill. This could have been the start of a serial killer. I mean, there's a million things that run through my mind, okay? So, I just, like I said, if you don't know about this case, please go ahead and look into it and make your own opinion. But there's seriously so much crap here. I'm so sick of seeing the ball dropped by law enforcement in cases, and it's just absolutely infuriating because it's just like, we're supposed to trust them. We're supposed to hold them to a higher standard and be able to know that that we're safe, we're good. Like, if we need something, we call law enforcement and they'll handle it. And it seems like more and more cases, that's not how things go, unfortunately. Okay, so that was Sean's story, or I should say Sean's tragedy, because that's exactly what it is. It's a very big tragedy, and it was unnecessary, and something needs to be done about that, because he was severely let down by law enforcement. Absolutely. All right, so now we are going to move on over. Ooh, sorry, dropped my phone. Oh. Alrighty. Okay, we are going to talk now about Quinton Simon, who is the 20-month-old that miraculously disappeared after being 6 in the morning and wasn't found to be disappeared until 9-ish, and law enforcement wasn't called until I think 9:30-ish, and then 9:45 is when they showed up, boots on the ground. So on Wednesday is when he was reported missing. And hold on, I just want to make sure I don't screw up anything here. Okay, yes, Savannah, Georgia. So Quinton was reported missing from his home. He's 20 months old on Wednesday, and he's from Savannah, Georgia. Now, unfortunately, there are many cases where we've seen all too well that a child goes missing underneath odd circumstances, like, in the middle of the night, next to somebody in bed, or pulled, from a car, or somebody sleeping by them or what have you, or they were in the house and secure in their bedroom and whatnot, and nobody heard anything and all that stuff. And unfortunately, all too common, what happens is it goes back to the parents, foster parents, or the significant other of the parents. And when I first saw the first information, a little bit of information, the first thing I heard was that there was a 20-month-old missing out of his, I think it's his playpen or pack and play, and he was last seen at 6 a.m. Wasn't noticed missing till 9 a.m. And that right there told me all I needed to know. Unfortunately, I'm one of those very negative thinkers. I've been my whole life. And I'm very jaded from a lot of the cases that we worked on, to where certain things just kind of pop out at me, and then all the red flags start popping out. And I just get this feeling. And I saw his little face, and I just knew. After hearing that and his little face, I knew where this was going to go. And I appreciate the people out there who remain positive and hopeful when it comes to these cases. Unfortunately, I am not one of those people. I say what I feel. I know, what my gut is telling me, and then if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll admit it. But yeah, unfortunately, I think this is a very bad situation that's going to have a very unhappy ending. Part of me wonders if he was gone before the call came in, like maybe the night before or the day before, I don't know. So, the one thing I do want to say is that I truly do appreciate how law enforcement came hard at this, okay? And I wish we could see that in every other case. Ugh, and it irritates me that we don't. But I do appreciate that law enforcement went hard. They came out, they brought out all the stops, and even when it got dark, they got the infrared out there. They just kept looking and looking and looking. My criticism is that they don't have any indication of an abduction, which I agree with, and there's no indication of foul play, which I don't agree with. I think that foul play is written all over this case. I have my thoughts of where it came from, and got my feeling of who done it, basically. But we have to wait and see. As of right now, he's still missing, and they're still looking for him. The other thing about this case that I believe is, I don't know if refreshing is really the right word, but I really can't think of anything else. So, I don't know, refreshing or, I don't know, I can't think of the right word. Anyways, so I found that the grandparents coming out and speaking their truth about the daughter, Leilani, was amazing. I'm just going to say that. Because there are so many cases where if just one person spoke the truth about how they felt or their suspicions or whatever, that probably could have turned out differently. Or at the very least, made sure that whoever was responsible was held accountable. And I really appreciate that they said what they thought and what they felt about this entire situation and Leilani. So Grandpa mentions that she's a liar. Grandma mentions that she, sometimes she can make good choices, sometimes she makes bad choices, and she just wants her to tell what happened. And, what they say, and in their interviews, you can literally feel the negative energy. You can feel their doubt. You can hear their doubt. And in their heart of hearts, I think they know who's responsible. They may not know exactly what happened, but I think in their heart of hearts, they know who's responsible. The same thing goes for the babysitter when she came out and spoke. I think she gets that feeling too. And for the grandma and the grandpa to kind of blast Leilani out there the way they did, it was good to see somebody fight for a kid, to be honest with you, because there's so many kids that we see that family doesn't fight for, and it's us YouTubers that fight for them, or, the neighboring communities and stuff. So it was nice to see that there's somebody fighting for this baby. He's got his grandparents and his babysitter who really, really know something is wrong, and they want answers. And it's heartbreaking because you can hear and feel the hurt in these these people. And again, I wish all kids that were in this situation had that, and they don't. So it is really nice to see that he does, that he has that. Okay, so let's dig in, shall we? So we have Leilani, who's 22. She's got 3 children. She has Quinton. Quinton has an older brother, and then the boys have a younger sister who's just a baby. So when the reports came in, it was, I want to say, around 9:30 in the morning. It was stated that I believe it was the live-in boyfriend, who is not the biological father of Quinton, but he is the biological father of the little baby, the little girl, the newest baby, had seen him before he had left the house to go to work, was what was said. And that around 9 something was when Leilani, the mother, realized he wasn't there. Now, I've heard 2 different things said. One was saying that she came home from work and he wasn't there, and the other one said that she had woke up and she wasn't there. Or he wasn't there. What the truth is, I don't know. Either way, we have a 3-hour time gap, and then we have a very late call to 911 about this missing child, okay? But even more puzzling, the babysitter came out and said that she had gotten a message to say at 5:30 in the morning to say that she wasn't needed to babysit that day. And again, eyes were last seen on him at 6 and reported after 9:30. Or sometime after 9, but I believe it was 9:30. So there are a bunch of red flags everywhere. Mom has a history of substance abuse. She has a horrible temper. Her own family obviously does not trust her. Grandma has custody of the 2 older boys. I don't think she has custody of the youngest one, as far as I'm aware of. And Grandpa said that Leilani had told him that Quinton was with his bio dad. Law enforcement checked into it. Turns out that was not the case, and bio dad was cleared. So Quinton, all 3 kids have a different father. So live-in boyfriend is the father of the youngest baby, the little girl. Quinton's father, I believe, lives in the area, but was not around the area. I could be wrong about where he lives. He may live further. But either way, he was cleared. And then the older brother is, and I've heard that he was with his bio dad, but then somebody else said no, that he was at home. So I don't know. Okay. Either way, we've got red flags all over the place. Okay. We have inconsistencies. We have unusual circumstances surrounding this. The babysitter also stated that she would even watch the baby when she was working. Now, when she says she, I don't know if she's referring to Leilani or if she's referring to the grandmother, because the grandmother has custody of them. And at the time, Grandma was out of state working, and I believe Grandpa was out of town working as well. And the babysitter had a regular routine, from what it seems like, that she would be there by a certain time, leave by a certain time, and stuff like that. And I don't completely understand why, if the grandmother has custody of them, that they live in the same area as each other, like in the same residence. I don't know. I feel like if you have to take custody of a child, there's a reason for it, and then that child probably shouldn't be around whoever it is, whether it's the mom or the dad or whoever had custody of them to begin with. So that to me is, like very curious circumstances. I don't understand. The other thing is, it seems like, Leilani and her mom had a very tumultuous relationship. There were arguments that were going on, and police said that they had been there twice before, but it had nothing to do related to the children. I'm wondering if maybe it was more of like a DV thing between the daughter and the mom. Turns out Leilani had been not just living with it, so in the house it was her, the 3 kids, the live-in boyfriend, and then Leilani's brother, and then you have the grandparents. Now, if you want to play devil's advocate and try not to go down the route of, foul play and just put it down as neglect, sure, it could go that way, because there are many things that could have happened if he did wander out of the house, okay? So if he wandered out of the house, he would have a lot of land to walk around. Their property is pretty darn big. Also, you know, he would be right on the street. So could Quinton have been walking down the street and some perv was just like, oh, and decided to take that opportunity? Absolutely. We know what happens. It's not unheard of. There was a huge pool in the backyard. Could he have possibly gotten out the door and fell into the pool? And that's what happened because he wasn't being watched? Sure, because we've seen cases like that as well. Could he have wandered off, and we're talking about a 3-hour time span, and gotten into some kind of woodsy area or maybe like a drainage ditch or gotten hurt somewhere when he was walking around? Absolutely. But here's the thing. That all kind of gets thrown out the window when law enforcement talks about the in-depth searches that they did, and there's literally no trace there. And I'm going to tell you there's no trace there because he was never out there. I know in my heart he was never out there, okay? He wasn't. I just know he was never out there, okay? And that was before all the red flags came flying up. Like I said, I feel like this is all too common of a conversation that we all have about these kids, you know, whether it's due to neglect or foul play. Then I had come out about, you know, the babysitter who gets this message about not watching the boys, and then later on is asked if she knows where Quinton is. And, like, wow, you know, you have the grandparents speaking out, and you could hear the pain. Part of me feels like you can hear the regret. I don't know, maybe they thought that if the babysitter was there, that the kids would be okay. Maybe they were trying to give Leilani another chance, which a lot of parents tend to do, even if their kids are addicts or just have like a really bad history. You know, mom makes the comment about the good choices and bad choices, some good choices and some bad choices Leilani makes. And so, you know, I don't know. But what I do know is that there is a little 20-month-old who has been reported missing, and he has still not been found. Quinton is somewhere. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere, and something happened. Something bad happened there, and you know, this is not going to be a happy outcome. It truly isn't. I just hope that he is found, and whoever is responsible is locked the hell up, because wow. There's, you know, a lot of different things that are coming out. There is history in this family, just in general, that is not good. I don't want to out this person, but there is somebody that, you know, this is personal to, who Leilani's other brother committed a horrible act and wound up taking the life of somebody. And so, you know, you got murder right there in the family, and he's currently incarcerated for this. And like I said, I don't want to put that person's name out there because that's not my place. That's not my story to tell. And I just, the history that's around there, like, you know how they say history repeats itself, or, you know, it just, I don't know. I just feel like, I'm not so sure if the boyfriend was the one that was responsible. Kind of feel like it was mom. And I, again, may be wrong. Maybe 800% wrong. These are just my opinions and my views. But she's got one hell of a temper. And I feel like it was done out of spite. She had been arguing with her mom. And the mom recently had, or grandma I should say, recently had handed out eviction notice. And Leilani and her live-in boyfriend were supposed to leave. And right before this happened, there was also an argument between the two of them. I feel like they argued a lot, which I understand. I could see why. But I think there was an argument between, you know, the mom and the grandmother. And on top of that, on top of the eviction, I think she did it out of spite. She did it out of spite, or she was so pissed off at her that she took it out on him. It's that plain and simple. And I know a lot of the times it is the significant other who's not the bio parent that tends to be the one that is the perpetrator. And he may be involved. He may very well be involved, but I really feel like it's her. And I want his story out there because Quinton matters too, just like all these other kids. And his truth needs to come out there. And so help me, they need to start implementing something that if it comes back, that the person that's reporting these kids missing or whoever missing, knowing damn well they're not missing and where they are, they should be thrown in jail also and charged for wasting resources and time that could be spent on a real missing case. Because you not only took, your own child's life and chance of being found, you did it to somebody else. And that's not okay. Because those resources could have been put towards an actual missing child that's actually missing. And I'm not saying that Quinton doesn't deserve it, because obviously he does. All kids do. They all deserve to be found. I'm just saying that when it comes to these cases and these people know where these kids are, they need to have charges pressed against them for wasting resources. Because that resource that they wasted could have went to another child that could have possibly saved another child's life. Okay? Sorry, I know. Ugh, I'm getting so angry about this. But again, so, like I said, I appreciate how law enforcement has handled this. I don't agree with the whole there's no foul play there, because I don't see how there's not. If there's no foul play and no abduction, did an alien come down and take him? Because that would be like the only other explanation, right? So yeah, so please, again, if you don't know about Quinton, please look into his case. Make your own decisions, obviously. And I will put different links and stuff in for these cases I'm talking about. And I am going to move on to another case. And this is, oh, I'm not trying to, okay. We are going to move on to now Lucian, which I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard about Lucian, but we're going to talk about him anyways, just in case. And also because his story still needs to be heard. He still hasn't been found. Okay, so Lucian, he's a 4-year-old little boy from Yakima. And he was at the park with his father and his younger sibling. And he was playing at the park, and Dad had to, the park he was around, it was Sardar Park. Dad had to change the little one's diaper. Lucian's name is Lucian James Munguia. They said he is, autistic. It's not that he's nonverbal, but he does speak broken English, and he responds to certain things. So, there's a lot of frustration around his case too, because I feel like law enforcement didn't put a lot of effort into his case. I feel like they just kind of made their minds up and then just dropped it. And that bothers me because, yes, we know that kids, for whatever reason, who are on the spectrum or have autism, they're really drawn to water, and there was water around there. So, it's not necessarily wrong to think that that's where he could have wandered to. I know a couple of creators who have tried endlessly to get information from law enforcement, or just to get them to go back out there and look for Lucian. I too had called law enforcement, and sadly, one person seemed like she actually cared and took it seriously, but nobody else truly did. So, little boy just doesn't disappear, right? I mean, this is the thing, like, little kids just don't vanish, right? This is like what we all talk about all the time. So, the searches were done, and then I know after a while, searchers went back out there to do more searches, and they couldn't find anything. Now, he was at a park, and it was a lot of area where, like, people would have, like, parties or picnics or whatever, and there's a lot of people there. Dad was changing the diaper, Lucian was playing, and then Dad noticed Lucian was missing. And I do feel that this is exactly what happened. I think somebody took Lucian. My first thought was that he wandered off into the water, only because, like I said, I feel like a lot of the cases lately where we have a special needs child, that unfortunately is the case. And so for a little bit, I did think that. But I was really pissed that law enforcement, like, refused to listen to people. Like, it just seemed like they, you know, kind of made their mind up, just like in Sean's case. They kind of made their mind up and did what they did, and that's that. And that bothers me. I get it. There has to be, like, a certain time limit spent or whatever on each case, and, at some point they do stop looking in, I understand that. I don't agree with it, but I know it's not something that can continuously go on because, the resources get exhausted, right? So the one thing that has come out that was newer information to me, I'm sure it came out a while ago, but that there's a lot of homeless people that kind of stay around the area there. And, that makes me wonder, could that be somebody, from that neck of the woods who took this opportunity to take him? Obviously, this was an opportunity with the way everything played out as far as, like, him playing around. Dad had to go take care of something, which was changing the diaper, which actually kind of reminds me of Lina Khil. Her mom had to go inside to do something, and she left her outside to play, and she thought she was safe, especially because who she was with, and Lina just vanished. So, again, it's like, kids don't just vanish. However, we're seeing kids just vanish. You know what I mean? So, there have been multiple sightings of Lucian that have not panned out at all. And the family is still looking for him and still asking for help with the public to keep his face out there and his name out there to try and find him and bring him home. And, this is a little baby. Well, I know he's not a baby, but he's a 4-year-old, right? And, the family called police after searching for about 15 minutes on themselves, and the family's asking for help from the public to continue searching because, as of right now, law enforcement has scaled back the search for Lucian. And it's infuriating because, sorry, I'm just making sure I didn't miss an update or anything on him. No, okay. So there are people trying to raise money, a restaurant raised money to help find Lucian. They're trying all their best in order to get the resources they need in order to find Lucian. They raised about a $10,000 reward for his safe return, or information leading to Lucian's location. And as of right now, it just seems like, they scaled back. There is, he's been missing since early September, and doesn't seem like there's any movement. He walked off, and somebody took that opportunity and decided that they were going to take Lucian. And I don't, there's reports about these homeless people, and that one of them was recently let out of jail. I don't know what his charges were, but there's just a lot of negativity. And unfortunately, when I first saw Lucian's picture, I knew it wasn't going to come back. And I hope he's found, and I hope whoever did this is held accountable. And I really wish, like, law enforcement would just, I don't know, it's just so incredibly frustrating. I just wish all kids could get the same amount of attention from law enforcement that, other kids do, because there's a lot that don't, and it's just incredibly infuriating, because something like that could just make the difference. You know what I mean? Like, it could make all the difference in the world. Either to finding that child or getting justice served for whoever did this to the child. So there's really nothing much left to say, about Lucian, because there really hasn't been much movement except for that. And now I am going to talk to you guys about this. Oh, this little girl just rips at my heart. So I made a video about Qadr Williamson. She is a 10-year-old child, cute as a button with her little glasses and smile. She went missing on her way to school. And her case, it bothers me so much. And I think part of the reason that it bothers me so much is that there's no outcry from the foster parents or the biological parents for that much. I did a missing child's poster for her a while back, and then I had spoke about her briefly because I decided to go back and look into some of the missing children cases that I put missing flyers up for, and when I come across hers, I found an update, and so I went to dig into it, and then I found out it was false. So she has been missing, and she still is missing. She has not been found. Well, I guess it really depends on what you considered found. Okay, so she has not been found safe. She has had eyes laid on her by law enforcement. But to literally be able to say, is she safe? There's been no word of that, okay? There was a video that was put out and lots of posters that said she was located safe and sound and found alive, and that is not the case. Yes, she is alive. She is alive, so let me correct that. She is alive, but she has not been returned to where she went missing from. And her case has a lot of red flags, and I have a lot of criticism when it comes to this case, and oh well, my opinions, right? Okay, so hold on one second. So the only person, I want to make sure I say his name right. So the only persons, I should say, that have spoke about her were 2 members of the community and her godfather. Now, whether or not her godfather is from her biological family or her foster family, I am not sure. I couldn't even tell you the name of her foster family, to be honest with you. Okay, so this is a quote from her godfather, Musa Bey, as in B-E-Y. All I really want is for her to come home. That was the only thing that was said. He did say it on an interview that he did, and I know that there was some Facebook activity in regards to him. They were going to do, I believe, a candlelight vigil. However, when people were like, the Facebook page I had found at least, when people were like trying to, I don't know if you would call it tag him in or whatever, there was no response for him. And I don't know if he actually has a Facebook. I tried looking, I couldn't find it. And like when people were talking about him in the comments, like his name didn't highlight up or anything, like he was being tagged. So I'm not sure. Okay, so here we go. So October 21st of 2020. Wait. Hold on. I'm mixing all my cases together. Just give me 1 second. My dog just scared himself. I'm sorry. 2021. All right. So on October 21st, it was a Thursday morning, and the streets are Glen Echo Road and Lincoln Drive, which is a block away from Qadr's home. Police say her foster mother was the last to see her, and that's where she saw her at. Her last sighting supposedly was her coming to this particular corner, waiting for a bus that she never got on, which was said by a neighbor named Carl Jones. What sticks out to me is the fact that he says supposedly. I don't know why, but that wording just bothers me. Kind of makes me feel like he doesn't trust that either. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of skeptical of it. So yes, so that was one of the neighbors that had spoke out. FBI did officially join the search, and the community has been actually really great there, which was why I was saying, like, where's the family? There's no foster family out there, no bio family out there. You got 2 neighbors and a godfather, so, and the godfather really didn't say much, and that was all he said, and that was all that was really saw of him. So, again, red flags, but okay, so Lavinia Davis, who's also a neighbor, said to be going out at school at 7:45 in the morning. That means that someone had to see something somewhere, especially because that street is pretty busy at that time of day. People are going to work, people are going to school, there's businesses around here, so we hope that someone does the right thing, and even if you don't know much, please share the information. And again, this is coming from community, not from her foster parents, not from her bio family. Like, ugh. Volunteers went around that Saturday afternoon posting flyers, handing out flyers, tying ribbons that were purple everywhere because that was her favorite color. And the other thing her godfather did say, I'm sorry, I forgot he did say this. He even said that even at 10 years old, she was still believing in fairy tales and princesses. She's a smart kid. She loves science. And the group of people that searched for her, including the godfather, they walked the route from the bus stop of Qadr's school to try and see if they could find anything. They went knocking on doors. They went into businesses to see if anybody saw anything. They were trying to see if anybody had any video from that day and time. And Lavinia Davis also said, "Just know that we are going to continue to look for you." This was her message to Qadr. And she said, "We will never stop looking for you." And again, not family, but community. Ugh, so irritating. Okay, so Qadr, at the time she went missing, was 10 years old. She is suspected to be between 5'2" and 5'5". She's around 125 pounds. She had locks in her hair. She was wearing her glasses. She had black pants on, a black shirt, a blue hoodie, black sneakers, and her backpack. Now, there are conflicting statements that are out there that I have tried to get information on. One of the things was who she was with. You have some that are saying that she was by herself, and then you have others saying that she was walking with two siblings. And neither one can be confirmed. I have reached out to the detectives. I've reached out to the person who made the claim that she was found alive and safe. And I don't know what to do with this case. I feel like she's still missing in my book. Okay. So here's the thing. When you think of a missing person, just in general, you assume that they are nowhere to be found. Like, nobody knows where they are. They don't know their whereabouts. They haven't had eyes on them. Obviously, they're missing, right? In Qadr's case, when I spoke to the detective, she said that this is a very sensitive matter, and this case is extremely sensitive, and technically she is still considered missing and endangered. And even if you call the law enforcement offices that were handling her case, they have her listed as missing and endangered, okay? And so, according to the detective, they do have eyes on her, but it's a sensitive case. They can't say whether or not she's still considered as missing or she is considered safe and sound. But they do have eyes on her, and it's a sensitive situation. And that's pretty much all you can get. I was able to find out her birthday is in November. I was able to find out why the false report was made. Somebody took what was said out of context and decided to run with it. And when I spoke to the person who made that comment, in his mind, he was doing the right thing. He was giving the community answers that they had been so desperately answering for or asking for. And even though he couldn't give them a lot of information, he had spoke to the detective, and the detective said that they had eyes on her. And when he inquired about whether or not that meant she was missing, he kind of got the same runaround story that I did. And he and I had spent some time on the phone talking, and I can completely understand his frustration. And I could see how his delivering his information had gotten kind of twisted and misconstrued. But because that did happen, that's why her posters started coming up saying found safe and alive, and that's not the case. Again, she is alive. There's, you can't find out anything about who her foster parents are or her biological parents are. I feel like some of the stuff that's being said is indication that she may have tried to find her familiar family, possibly. But there's nothing to indicate that. There's nothing to indicate that she would have wanted to run away from the foster home. There is nothing to indicate that she did and she wasn't taken. The only thing we know for sure is that foster mom was the last one to have eyes on her when she was on those corners. Okay. And I did look and do the like Google searches for like the areas that they were speaking of to see what it is. And I just, for that time of day, for nobody to see her just does not make sense to me. And I am going to throw foul play out there, and I don't care. And I say that because we're not talking about like some isolated area where, you know, a car passes by every 20 minutes and there's no local businesses or neighboring houses around. We are talking about a very well populated area. You know, you've got houses everywhere. You've got, like, I consider it somewhat of a busy street from the way it looked like on the maps when I zoomed in on it. You've got businesses there, you've got houses there, and there's no say whether or not she got onto the bus. There's no say whether or not she showed up to school. There's no definite answer there. We just know that foster mom, who we don't know and who hasn't spoke out, was the last to see her. And like I said, everybody, please do your own due diligence and, you know, look into this on your own. She is reporting missing and endangered through the law enforcement offices that I contacted. Okay. They looked up her file and they found it. And that's exactly what it says about her. Missing and endangered. Hearing that they have eyes on her doesn't tell me shit, to be honest with you. You can have eyes on anybody, right? Does that mean that they're safe? No. Does that mean that they're not safe? No, of course. Could Qadr have went to somebody familiar because she felt they were safer to be around? Sure, but does that mean that person was safe for her to be around? Not necessarily, because she's in foster care, right? I know we've seen cases where kids have been taken from families that should never had any business being taken out of their homes and thrown into the foster care system. I mean, I know it happens. We've seen it happen a lot, but we've also seen where there's legitimate reasons that these kids are taken from the parents and put into foster care. Not saying foster care is better, because we also know that some of these foster places are a lot worse than the home lives. Look at Classic and Sincere. I did not know much about their case until I came to Summer's case, and then I found a little bit out about them, and well, they were in the foster system and they were wrongfully taken from their mother, and the amount of injustice there is bullshit. I'm just going to say it just like how it is. So to see Qadr's situation and to not be able to have any solid evidence or facts aside from what little, you know, we have right here is incredibly frustrating. This is a 10-year-old child, and she bothers me. She bothers me. She bothers me. She bothers me. Not her personally. Like, her situation bothers me. I cannot let it go. It hits me hard like Summer does. Just like Ariana does. Ariana Fitz. I can't explain it, but it hits me so damn hard. Just like Nevaeh. I mean, there's so many of these cases, and it's infuriating because, you know, people look at us like we're a joke, right? Because we're YouTube people, and, you know, one minute we're, you know, being thanked, and, you know, the next minute somebody else is sitting there saying we're the reason a case got screwed up, or, you know, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just internet people that are bored or whatever have you. And they think that we're jokes. But there are some of us that actually do really care. You know what I mean? And I know a lot in this community who, unfortunately, are a bunch of bullshit and are jokes, but there are still a lot of good ones out there who truly do give a shit about what's happening in this world to these children. We've all got a couple of those cases that just, for whatever reason, they really nag at your heartstrings. And I've said it many times, I don't think that we pick cases. I really feel like the cases pick us. There's a reason that we're drawn to certain cases. That person, whether it be an adult or a child, they come to you for a reason. They are on your mind for a reason, whatever that reason may be, just to keep their name out there, or to maybe bring some kind of help to their case, or just, I don't know. I can't explain it, but I really feel like we get picked by them and it's not the other way around. And Qadr is definitely one of those because, I don't know, just looking at her face, looking at her little face, and oh, it makes me so angry because it's just like we have this half-ass answer of what's going on with her, right? We have her listing as found safe and alive. We have her listed as endangered and missing. We know that there's eyes on her, but don't know if that means she's in a safe situation, and then it's considered a sensitive, a sensitive case or whatever, which I don't think I've ever heard anybody really say that it's a real sensitive situation or a sensitive case when it comes to talking to people about these cases, when you're trying to find out information. So that kind of stands out to me too. Makes me really wonder what's going on there. So yeah, I mean, please look into Qadr's case, and by all means, look into her case. Maybe a fresh set of eyes on her case can pop up a new perspective, or maybe find something. I'm not really good at technology or this web sleuthing stuff. Like, I literally Google. That's all I do because I don't know how to work anything, right? So I Google, I watch videos and Google. That's how I do things. And I know there's other people out there that have different resources that they can use. And, I know that there's other people that can kind of figure out things a little better than me. So, that's why I'm asking for your help for Qadr, because she matters, just like all these other kids matter. And she's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's 10 years old. And like I said, there's just, I don't know, there's just too many questions, not enough answers, like so many cases we follow, right? It's kind of horrible. It's not kind of horrible, it truly is horrible. It's absolutely devastating. And then the other one I would like to talk about tonight is our little Lina. So Lina Sardar Khil. Oh my goodness, she's another one that she was covered for a little bit, and then I feel like she literally just dropped off the planet when it came to coverage on her. So Lina, she's been missing since December 20th of 2021 from San Antonio, Texas. Her mom was pregnant at the time, and she left Lina in the playground in their little community, the apartment complex, and ran inside. I believe it was to take care of laundry or get something to drink, something like that. She wasn't in there very long, right? Okay, so Lina's family, they're refugees from Afghanistan, and the apartment complex that they were living in, it is a very tight-knit community, and they specifically are refugees that live there, which is why, and I know a lot of people were super judgy about her being left with these people. I was too at first, but then when I started hearing about her case, I kind of understood a little bit more why. So, like I said, they're all refugees there. They all kind of congregate in the same place. That little area is just for them. So the only people that really live there are refugees, or people who are living there to bring refugees in to live with them, to get their family members there, right? So there's not a lot of outsiders. This community stays within their means. Unfortunately, her family, they don't speak much English, right? The father tries his best, and he did do interviews, and my heart absolutely broke for him. From the beginning, I had just this really bad feeling about Lina. I do think that she's still alive. I really do. But I feel like she was taken and brought back to her country that she came from, and she was taken to be a child bride, or possibly be a child to a woman who wanted her. Now, the only other thing that can really make me think somebody else took her is, well, I shouldn't say that somebody else took her. We know somebody took her, but I don't think the parents are involved. Like, there's no foul play on their part. I really feel like it was a member of their own community, whether it be the community here in America or the community back in their home country where they came from. And it was a member of their community who befriended Lina and took her. and I believe it was a man and a woman. Because of where she was playing and because of the type of people in her community, they would have all been familiar to her. Now, whether or not these are people that knew her parents, like personally, I don't know. I feel like it's a yes. But there is a possibility that it could have been somebody visiting another person of the community who decided to take her too, which is why I'm saying it could be either or. But I do feel like she is alive and she's not in this country. I feel like she was taken back to her home country, whether it be for child bride or to be the daughter of somebody else. I don't know. But I really hope that she is found. I hate that, like, her coverage literally just stopped. I mean, like, literally just stopped. You know, there's a couple of interviews out there with the dad and with I can't remember his name. There was somebody who is a member of their community who was translating, and I forgot where I saw the report from because I haven't been able to find the video. It was a 2-part video, and I cannot remember where I found it. And he was talking about the different things about them, you know, being refugees and about what they were running away from and what they were coming to America to and what they were doing since they had been in America, and talking about the tight-knit community that they do live in. And I think that's really key here. I feel like whoever has Lina, they knew how this community worked, which tells me they were part of that community, because an outsider would have stuck out like a sore fucking thumb. Okay, let's be honest, all right? You have a tight-knit community of all refugees. You have countless people trying to bring their family members over and having visitors. And these guys, they don't go outside their community to go and, like, you know, socialize with other people or leave their community. They stay there. They keep to themselves. They don't necessarily go out and cause trouble or any of that. And unfortunately, whoever did this took advantage of that situation. And it makes me so angry, and it breaks my heart, because it's like, we have this language barrier, right? And I feel like there should be more effort there. There should be more effort there. They left their country to have a better life for themselves and their daughter and their future child, which I'm pretty sure that baby was born by now, but I don't know for certain. But they fled to survive, only to come here and have their child taken. How fucked up is that? Like, seriously, you come to America to give your daughter everything you could possibly want for her, only for somebody to take her from you. Like, wow. Like, I can't wrap my head around that reality. And it breaks my heart, because we're not talking about just a missing child. You're talking about a missing child who doesn't know anybody except for her community, who does not speak English, whose parents can't communicate. How would Lina know how to ask for help? If somebody asked her name, would she understand that in English? We don't know. She's a little girl. I believe she's 4 now. I'm trying to double check. Trying to see here. And the only other thing is that a spokesperson by the name of Pamela Allen, she's a family spokesperson, told media that public searches are on pause for now, as it is believed that Lina is no longer in the San Antonio or Texas area. And the only other update is, as of September 16th of 2022, it says missing San Antonio girl Lina Khil to be featured on Investigation Discovery, which is great. I'm so happy to see that, because she needs coverage. She does. All these kids do. They do. But I just, Lina's at such a disadvantage, just from the communication standpoint alone. Just like her family is at such a disadvantage. I mean, even when we have these little kids who are possibly nonverbal, at least they have parents that could speak out for them and articulate everything that they need to get across. Where for Lina's family, that's more of a challenge. So I'm glad to see that they have a family representative, and I truly hope that that person is really able to help them. Keep Lina out there. Keep her name out there. I don't care if she's not in Texas, or she's not in the United States, or, you know, wherever she's at. She still matters. She still needs to be found. And I am telling you, somebody has her because they wanted her for a reason. And it wasn't to unalive her. Somebody has her for a reason. So again, thank you so much for being here and listening. I know this was quite a long video. I wasn't planning on it going this long. But please look into all these kids. See if there's anything you guys can figure out. Share and like this video. And like I said, I will put links in there so you guys can see the other creators that have more information on some of these cases. So please go ahead and go over there and like and subscribe, because they are doing one hell of a job trying to find out everything. Thank you again so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Let's keep these faces out there. Let's be a voice for the voiceless. Let's keep these kids relevant, and let's bring them home and hopefully get answers and the people held accountable that did this. Thank you and have a wonderful day.